Humanity had always believed that peace was within their reach. After centuries of war, struggle, and triumph, the galaxy had settled into a period of relative calm. Earth, now the leading force in the galaxy, had spread its influence far and wide, ensuring that peace was maintained. Yet even in this time of prosperity, a shadow was beginning to form at the edge of human space. On a clear day when the stars glistened in the vast expanse of the universe, an alien fleet appeared. Their ships were unlike anything humanity had ever seen, massive, sleek, and imposing. They emerged from the depths of space with no warning, their arrival sending ripples through the heart of Earth's command center. The fleet made no immediate move, only hanging in orbit above the planet watching. A message was soon received. It was short, direct, and chilling. "We seek peace, not war," it said. At first, the message seemed almost too simple to be true. Peace had been a long-awaited goal for humanity, and the idea of a powerful alien species coming in peace was almost too good to be true. But there was something in the tone of the message that left a lingering doubt in the minds of Earth's leaders. The words felt rehearsed, calculated. It did not take long for Captain Alex Rion, a battle-hardened officer with years of experience in the military, to feel the unease growing in his chest. The message had come through a secure military channel, and it was being broadcast across all of Earth's communication lines. It was an unusual move for such an advanced civilization to send an open transmission. Something about it felt wrong. The message was too clean, too controlled, as though it was meant to lull the people of Earth into a false sense of security. Alex, who had spent most of his career preparing for the worst, was not one to be fooled by pretty words. He had seen enough in his lifetime to know that when an enemy appeared on the horizon with no explanation, it was best to be cautious. His instincts told him that this peace offer was a trap, a carefully laid-out strategy designed to pull humanity into a vulnerable position. As the message continued to repeat, the crew on board the command ship grew quiet. Officers exchanged uneasy glances, waiting for someone to speak. The silence was thick with tension. It was the kind of silence that only came when the stakes were high, when everything that followed could either secure peace or ignite a war. Finally, the voice of General Frank Rhodes broke through the quiet. His voice, usually strong and reassuring, was now laced with doubt. "Captain Ryan," he said, his tone calm but sharp. "What do you make of it?" Alex stood in front of the large holographic display, studying the image of the alien fleet. The ships were positioned in a formation that was not aggressive, but it did not seem entirely defensive either. The aliens were clearly powerful, their ships larger than anything humanity had constructed. Yet there was no sign of a weapon aimed at Earth. They had made no move to engage, no threats, no demands, only a message of peace. "General," Alex began, his voice steady but firm, "there is no such thing as a free gift in space. This message is too perfect, too easy. These aliens didn't come all this way just to offer peace. There's something they're not telling us." The room grew quiet again as Alex's words sank in. The general nodded slowly, taking a deep breath. He knew Alex was right. They had seen too many scenarios play out in history, where enemies appeared peaceful at first, only to reveal their true nature later. "Prepare the fleet," the general ordered, his tone now filled with authority. "I don't trust them. Not yet." The order was quickly passed down, and soon the vast fleet of Earth began to stir. Massive ships that had been dormant for years were powered up. The hum of engines filled the air, and the lights of the fleet flickered to life. The human military was preparing for something, though no one knew what it would be. In the command center, Captain Alex Rion continued to monitor the alien fleet's movements, his eyes never leaving the holographic display. He couldn't shake the feeling that the peace they had been offered was nothing more than a lie, a carefully crafted illusion meant to lull humanity into a sense of safety. As the minutes passed, his suspicion only grew stronger. There were no signs of aggression from the aliens, but there were also no signs of goodwill. Their ships remained poised and ready, just beyond the range of human weapons. The humans were ready for a fight, but the aliens had made no move. Yet a few hours later, the decision came down from Earth's leadership. The alien fleet would be allowed to approach, but only under strict supervision. A team of diplomats, including Captain Rian, would meet the alien ambassadors in a neutral zone to discuss their intentions. It was a risky move, but the government had decided to err on the side of diplomacy. Alex stood by the window of the command center, staring out at the vastness of space. His heart pounded in his chest, a feeling of dread settling in his stomach. He had lived through battles, seen death up close, but this was different. He felt like they were walking into a trap, one that was being carefully set with every passing minute. The peaceful offer had a price, and humanity would soon find out what it was. As the alien ships began to move closer to Earth's orbit, Alex's grip tightened on the railing. He could only hope that his instincts were wrong, but deep down, he knew this was just the beginning of something far darker. The alien fleet had now entered Earth's orbit, hovering just beyond the range of human weapons. Its ships, dark and sleek, continued to remain passive, as if waiting for something. Humanity was on edge. The peace offer, which had been received with cautious optimism, now seemed like a distant memory. The stillness of the alien ships in orbit was unsettling, and every officer in the command center felt it, the oppressive quiet that hung in the air, as though something monumental was about to unfold. Captain Alex Rian stood before the holographic display once again, his sharp eyes scanning every detail of the alien fleet's movements. The ships had positioned themselves in a pattern that felt too perfect, too deliberate. Something was wrong, and Alex could feel it deep in his bones. The uneasy feeling that had settled in his chest since the first message now grew into a heavy weight. The Dreadnoughts, the pride of Earth's fleet, stood ready. These massive warships were the ultimate symbol of human power and defense. They had been designed for this, designed for the impossible task of holding the line against a superior enemy. For years, the Dreadnoughts had been in dry dock, their engines cold, their weapons dormant. But now, with the alien fleet circling above Earth like vultures, the time had come to bring them back to life. The crew of the command ship, the Redemption, moved with purpose as orders were passed down. The immense hum of power running through the ship was palpable, as the Dreadnoughts were slowly powered up, their reactors igniting with a low roar. Alex watched as the holographic models of the Dreadnoughts came to life, their forms shifting on the display as they came online. These ships were Titans, each one capable of annihilating entire fleets with a single salvo. Yet they were more than just weapons. They were symbols of humanity's resolve. Alex's mind raced. He knew the stakes. They were all about to enter uncharted territory. There had been no war with such an enemy before, no other species with such an overwhelming presence in the galaxy. But humanity had been in dire situations before, and they had always found a way to survive. This would be no different. As the Dreadnoughts were activated, Alex moved to the center of the command deck. His eyes were cold, his mind focused entirely on what lay ahead. The crew had already begun their final preparations for the potential of battle. He knew that if things escalated, Earth would have no choice but to defend itself. A voice interrupted his thoughts. General Frank Rhodes, the commanding officer of the Earth Defense Forces. "Captain," he said, his voice steady but laced with concern. "We're receiving another message from the aliens." Alex stiffened, his heart skipping a beat. The message had come earlier, offering peace, but now that peace seemed further and further away. He turned toward the communication station. Put it through. The message flickered to life on the screen, but this time it was different. The usual calm, measured tone of the alien leader was replaced with something far more unsettling. The voice was cold, almost robotic in its delivery. "Humanity has failed to grasp the gravity of your situation," the voice intoned. "We do not seek your cooperation. We have only given you this opportunity to surrender. You will not survive the consequences of refusal." The message was blunt, devoid of any pretense. There was no plea for peace, no attempt to offer a resolution. It was a threat, one that had been hidden behind the facade of peace. Alex's hand tightened into a fist. The Dreadnoughts were now fully online, their massive forms ready to launch. His instincts were proven right. The aliens had never come in peace. They had come to conquer. "We've been played," Alex muttered, his voice barely audible as he turned toward General Rhodes. The general nodded grimly. "Prepare for battle," Rhodes ordered. "Initiate the first strike." The command was swift and direct. The Dreadnoughts, their immense guns ready to fire, began to position themselves in strategic formation. They were humanity's last line of defense, and it was clear now that they would be needed. But the alien fleet had not waited for Earth's fleet to make the first move. With a sudden burst of speed, the alien ships shifted their position, coming into direct range of Earth's most powerful warships. Their weapons, hidden until now, were suddenly revealed. Massive energy cannons, each capable of tearing through the thickest armor with ease. The first shot came from the alien fleet, an impossibly fast energy beam that streaked across space, striking one of Earth's outer defense platforms. The explosion was instantaneous, sending a wave of shock through the command deck. The platform, once a symbol of Earth's defensive strength, was reduced to nothing more than debris. Alex's eyes narrowed as he turned toward the display. He had known the aliens were powerful, but this was beyond anything they had expected. The alien ships began their assault, their weapons cutting through Earth's defenses with terrifying efficiency. But the humans were not unprepared. The Dreadnoughts responded with a barrage of their own, massive energy blasts that shook the very fabric of space. The two fleets clashed in a violent explosion of energy, each side unleashing everything they had. The battle was chaotic. Ships were destroyed on both sides, and the space around Earth became a war zone of twisted metal and flashing lights. Captain Alex Ryan stood at the center of it all, his mind razor-sharp as he issued orders and coordinated the fleet's movements. For hours, the battle raged on. The Dreadnoughts proved their worth, their firepower cutting through the alien ships one by one. But for every alien ship destroyed, two more seemed to take its place. Alex realized the scale of the threat was far greater than he had ever anticipated. The aliens had more ships than humanity had ever seen, and their weapons were unlike anything Earth's fleet had faced. The conflict had only just begun, and the question remained: how far would humanity have to go to defend its existence? The battle raged on for hours, with both sides locked in a deadly stalemate. The once peaceful skies of Earth had transformed into a war zone, littered with the wreckage of shattered ships and debris floating in the void. Each blast from the Dreadnoughts created shockwaves that rippled through space, sending ripples of destruction through the alien fleet. Yet despite the human fleet's best efforts, the alien forces seemed endless. For every alien ship that was destroyed, another emerged from the dark depths of space, as though there were no limit to their numbers. Captain Alex Ryan stood at the command deck, his mind working faster than his hands could keep up with the orders. The situation was deteriorating faster than anyone could have anticipated. The Dreadnoughts, formidable as they were beginning to show signs of strain. Their powerful weapons were ripping through alien ships, but the enemy's relentless assault was overwhelming. The sheer scale of the alien fleet made it seem like there would be no end to this conflict. As the battle progressed, the alien fleet shifted tactics. Their ships spread out, creating a barrier of firepower that made it nearly impossible for Earth ships to move without taking devastating hits. Despite their powerful weapons, the human fleet was being slowly pushed back, forced to fight in smaller skirmishes. The tension in the command center was palpable. Every officer, every crew member, knew that Earth's survival hung in the balance. In the midst of this chaos, a sudden transmission crackled through the comms, interrupting the chaos of the battle. It was the same cold, emotionless voice from earlier, but this time the tone was far more direct. "We have had enough of your resistance," the alien voice declared, its words cutting through the static with an unsettling clarity. "You are not strong enough to win. You are not strong enough to survive. Surrender now and we will allow you to live as subjects. Refuse and your world will be destroyed." The words echoed in the command center, sending a chill down Alex's spine. The alien leader had spoken an ultimatum: surrender or face annihilation. Alex's grip tightened around the console as he listened to the threat. It was no longer just about defending Earth. The aliens were making their intentions clear. They wanted Earth to submit, to bow to their will. They were not here for peace, not anymore. They had come to conquer. For a moment the room fell silent. The weight of the message settled over the crew like a heavy fog. The threat of total destruction loomed over them, and the future of humanity was uncertain. General Rhodes turned toward Alex, his face grim. "Captain, what do we do?" "They're offering us nothing but death if we resist. But if we surrender?" Alex's eyes never wavered from the display, his mind racing. The idea of surrendering was unthinkable. Humanity had fought too long, too hard to be crushed by a foreign enemy. They had worked tirelessly to build a future of peace and prosperity in the galaxy. To give it up now, to bend the knee to these invaders, would be to throw away everything they had fought for. "No," Alex said, his voice firm. "We don't surrender, we fight. We fight for every inch of this planet, for every human who's ever lived. The words resonated with the crew. There was no turning back now. Humanity would not go quietly into the night. They would stand, they would fight, and they would make sure that the galaxy knew that Earth was not a world to be conquered. But just as Alex gave the orders to continue the fight, another transmission came through, this time more urgent, more commanding. "The clock is ticking," the alien leader's voice warned. "If you do not comply within the next hour, we will begin the process of erasing your world from existence. Your people will be wiped from the stars. Make your choice." The ultimatum was clear. Surrender or Earth would be reduced to nothing. The message sent a shockwave through the crew, and even Alex felt the weight of it pressing on his chest. The clock was ticking. Humanity's future was now a matter of minutes. General Rhodes looked to Alex for guidance. The pressure was immense. This was the moment that would define the future of the human race. But Alex stood tall, his eyes burning with resolve. "We fight," he repeated louder this time. "We fight to the last man, the last ship. This is not just about us. This is about every future generation, every person who has ever lived on Earth. We will not let them take this from us." The battle had already cost them dearly, but Alex knew it would cost them even more. The alien fleet was too powerful, too vast, and yet surrendering would mean everything humanity had worked for, everything they had fought for, would be lost forever. As the alien ships moved closer, their weapons ready, Alex knew that the final decision had been made. There would be no negotiation. There would be no peace. The time for diplomacy was over. The Dreadnoughts, humanity's last hope, powered up once again. Their massive cannons roared to life, sending blasts of energy toward the alien fleet. The battle resumed, fiercer than ever before. The sky above Earth was now a chaotic canvas of flashing lights, energy beams, and destruction. But even as the humans fought back with everything they had, Alex knew one thing for certain. The war was only just beginning. The aliens might have underestimated humanity's will to survive, but they had made one critical mistake, underestimating humanity's capacity for vengeance. As the first wave of alien ships fell, Alex watched the battle unfold. He knew this was only the beginning, but Earth would not fall without a fight. It would not be erased from the stars. Humanity would stand strong no matter the cost. The final battle was yet to come. But for now, humanity had made their stand. The galaxy would soon learn that Earth would never surrender. The clash between the two fleets had turned space into a twisted battlefield. The sky above Earth, once serene and peaceful, now roared with the sound of weapons colliding, of ships tearing apart, and of human and alien forces locked in an unforgiving struggle. Humanity's dreadnoughts, massive and towering, fired relentlessly at the alien ships, each blast sending ripples through the stars themselves. Yet despite their superior firepower, humanity was on the defensive. The alien fleet, vast and seemingly infinite, pressed on, each ship a well-coordinated unit, capable of withstanding anything humanity threw at them. Inside the command center of the Redemption, Captain Alex Rian paced back and forth, his eyes fixed on the holographic display. The numbers on the screen told a grim story. The human fleet had lost more than half of its ships in the opening hours of the battle. The alien fleet, though suffering significant damage, still outnumbered Earth's forces, and their tactics were more advanced. "More ruthless, Captain," General Rhodes said, his voice steady but tinged with worry. "We've lost contact with the outer defense platforms. The alien fleet is bypassing our lines." Alex's jaw tightened. He knew what that meant. The aliens weren't just trying to destroy Earth's military. They were trying to break their will. They weren't interested in a quick victory. They wanted to make sure that humanity knew the cost of defiance. "They're testing us," Alex muttered, his eyes narrowing. "They think we'll break under pressure." He glanced over at the communications officer, a young woman named Sarah. She had been silent for most of the battle, but now she looked up from her station, her face pale. "Captain, we've received another transmission. From the alien leader." Alex didn't need to hear it. He had known the next move was coming. The aliens would try to break them mentally, break them emotionally. That's how these types of invaders worked. They didn't just want to defeat a species, they wanted to destroy its spirit. "Put it through," Alex ordered, his voice unwavering. The screen flickered, and once again the cold, Emotionless voice of the alien leader filled the room. Humanity, the voice began. You have shown yourself to be more resilient than we anticipated. But it is clear that your resistance is futile. You have lost half of your fleet, and the remaining forces are mere fragments of your former strength. Surrender now, or we will unleash the full force of our weapons upon your planet. This is your last chance. The words hung in the air, heavy and oppressive. It was a final warning. The aliens had shown no mercy, and it was clear now that they had no intention of stopping until humanity had been utterly destroyed. Alex felt the weight of the message settle over him like a crushing weight. The entire galaxy seemed to be watching, waiting to see if Earth would crumble. The question lingered in the air like a storm. Would humanity survive, or would they become just another forgotten species in the stars? He looked around the command center at his crew, at the men and women who had fought beside him for years, who had trained for this moment. Their faces were grim, their expressions weary, but there was no fear in their eyes. They had come this far and they would not back down now. No, Alex said, his voice firm, louder than he had spoken all day. We don't surrender. We fight. The crew turned toward him, their eyes filled with resolve. This was the moment, the turning point. It was no longer just about winning. It was about proving to the galaxy, proving to themselves that humanity would not be broken. Prepare the fleet for a final push, Alex ordered, his voice steady. We're going on the offensive. We will show them that they picked the wrong species to challenge. As the orders were passed down, Alex watched as the crew sprang into action. The command center came to life with urgency, the officers working tirelessly to coordinate the remaining forces. The Dreadnoughts, though battered and strained, were still formidable. And with the final push, humanity had one chance to make the aliens understand the price of underestimating them. Alex moved to the command chair and sat down, his hands steady as he gripped the controls. The fleet was ready. The alien ships, though still numerous, had underestimated humanity's resolve. They had made the mistake of thinking that the human spirit could be crushed by a mere display of force. They had made the mistake of thinking that humanity would give up. The first wave of Earth's remaining ships surged forward, led by the Dreadnoughts, their massive guns charging. Alex's heart pounded in his chest and his thoughts raced. He knew that this would be a battle unlike any before it. But in the midst of the chaos, one thing was clear. Humanity was not going to let go of its home without a fight. The alien fleet responded, unleashing another barrage of firepower in an attempt to overwhelm the humans. But this time, humanity was ready. The Dreadnoughts moved with precision, their cannons firing in perfect synchronization. Each shot struck with unrelenting force, tearing into the alien ships. The humans fought with a fury that surprised even their alien adversaries. The battle escalated and the tension in the command center grew with each passing minute. Earth's ships pushed forward and the alien fleet, despite their superior numbers, began to falter. Their ships were not invincible. The human fleet had managed to exploit their weaknesses, taking advantage of every opportunity to strike back. The battle was far from over, but humanity had regained the initiative. As the hours passed, Alex remained focused on the task at hand. The outcome of this battle was still uncertain, but one thing was for sure. Humanity had proven its resolve. They had stood against the might of an alien empire and refused to surrender. And that, Alex knew, was something no one could take away from them. We're not done yet, Alex whispered to himself, his eyes fixed on the display. We're just getting started. The battle had become a frantic storm of energy and destruction. The space above Earth was no longer recognizable, a shattered battlefield where the remnants of two great fleets collided in a frenzy of firepower. Alien ships and human warships drifted destroyed or drifting toward oblivion, torn apart by the sheer scale of the conflict. Humanity's Dreadnoughts, though showing signs of heavy damage, still moved forward, cutting through the alien fleet with a relentless vengeance. But as the battle continued, the human forces knew they were nearing the breaking point. Captain Alex Ryan stood on the command deck of the Redemption, his face illuminated by the glowing display in front of him. Sweat beaded on his brow, his fingers twitching over the console as he issued orders to his crew. The pain of the battle, the damage to Earth's fleet was evident in every move they made. Yet there was something in Alex's eyes, something unspoken in the air, a fierce determination that would not allow his people to falter. The alien fleet, despite its overwhelming numbers, had not expected the fury of the human response. Their tactic of relentless pressure designed to break humanity's spirit had backfired. The more they pushed, the more humanity pushed back. With every dreadnought that fell, another human ship took its place, and with each alien vessel that crumbled under the intensity of human firepower, the aliens began to realize they had underestimated their enemy. The battle had reached its tipping point. "Captain," General Rhodes' voice rang out, cutting through the tension. "We've located their flagship. It's at the heart of their fleet. If we can destroy it, the rest of their ships will fall apart. We can end this." Alex's heart pounded in his chest. This was it. The chance to bring an end to the alien assault. To show the galaxy that humanity would not be defeated. The alien flagship was a colossal ship, surrounded by layers of defense, but it was the key to the entire conflict. If humanity could destroy it, the remaining alien ships would lose their cohesion, their purpose. "Prepare the dreadnoughts," Alex ordered. "Target the flagship. We're going in." The human fleet, battered and bruised, surged forward once more, now with a singular goal in mind. The dreadnoughts, still the most powerful ships in humanity's arsenal, locked onto the alien flagship, their weapons primed for one final decisive strike. The space around them seemed to shrink as the two fleets closed in on one another. The alien ships, realizing the threat, unleashed their firepower in an attempt to shield their flagship, but humanity was ready. The first volley came from the dreadnoughts, massive energy blasts that streaked across the battlefield, colliding with the alien ships in a blinding explosion of light. The alien forces retaliated, their weapons tearing through the human lines with unrelenting force. But the humans fought on, never stopping, never hesitating. Every shot fired, every ship that fell, only fueled their desire to win. "Full power to the forward weapons," Alex shouted. His voice was steady, calm even amidst the chaos. His crew responded in unison, executing the command with precision. The dreadnoughts' weapons surged with energy as the massive cannons opened fire once again, this time with devastating accuracy. The flagship's defenses began to buckle under the relentless barrage. "Lock onto their weak points," Alex ordered, his eyes never leaving the display. He had studied the enemy's ships, their designs, their flaws. He knew where to strike. The dreadnoughts fired again, their weapons hitting their target with perfect timing. The alien flagship shuddered, its shields flickering and failing as the massive blasts tore into its hull. The once imposing ship now appeared vulnerable, a wounded animal caught in the grasp of humanity's vengeance. For the first time, Alex saw doubt flicker in the alien fleet's movements. They had relied too much on their strength, on their overwhelming numbers, and had ignored the one thing they could not defeat: the unyielding resolve of humanity. With a final, coordinated strike, the dreadnoughts fired their last, most powerful salvo at the alien flagship. The explosion that followed was like nothing anyone had ever seen. The flagship, once the heart of the alien fleet, erupted in a burst of fire and debris, its destruction sending shockwaves through the battlefield. The alien fleet, suddenly without direction, began to falter. The remaining ships hesitated, unsure of what to do without their command vessel. Alex watched as the enemy fleet began to disintegrate before his eyes. The remaining ships, disoriented and leaderless, were easy targets for the remaining human forces. The dreadnoughts, battered but triumphant, turned their weapons on the straggling alien vessels, tearing through them with ease. Within moments, the alien fleet began to crumble, their ships falling apart like a house of cards. The war was nearly over. Alex allowed himself a moment of relief as he watched the last of the alien ships retreat, limping away from the battlefield, their numbers decimated. Humanity had done it. Against all odds, against the overwhelming might of a superior enemy, humanity had fought back and won. Earth was safe, but even as the victory began to sink in, Alex knew there would be no time to rest. The cost of this battle had been immense. Thousands of lives had been lost, and Earth's fleet had been decimated, but the human spirit had proven stronger than any weapon, any alien force. They had endured. The room fell silent as the last alien ship retreated into the distance. General Rhodes placed a hand on Alex's shoulder, his voice filled with both relief and sorrow. "We've done it, Captain. Earth is safe."